Ram, a very, very important win for you today.
I think I want to echo what Omar said. I've never been so stressed in my life. It was the hardest 10 minutes of my entire time of watching Liverpool. It was got to be up there because the amount of times we kept on missing our chances, there's always that echoing feeling of, oh, they're going to get a goal back. It looks like it's one of them games where we just can't get the third goal. We can't kill the game off. Given what happened to United against United last time, I really didn't want to go back through that. But most important thing, getting the 3 points, we can relax. We can look at what Arsenal's doing and what City's doing. Brandon, I'm looking at yourself. You got to do your business. We done our business. You got to do your job. But I want to really give a big shout out to someone I think is deserved because he was man of the match for me today. Alexis McAllister. I said this in the group chat multiple times. For me, in terms of signing of the season, he's the most valuable. In terms of value, he is signing of the season, in my opinion. £35 million for a player since 2024 who's not put a performance lower than an 8. Lower than an 8. That's how good this guy's been. He was absolutely fantastic. The over-the-top through balls, the dictating of play, getting into the advanced positions, the assist for Salah, the composure, just everything about him. And also the dogged work he had to do, getting in those tackles, getting interceptions, clearances, everything. A proper midfield performance from the man. And look, when we were having the likes of Szoboszlai, Salah, Trent out, he stepped up massively. Absolutely massively. And he's been clinical and he's been what he's meant to be from the last couple of years when we saw him at Brighton. He's now starting to show up for Liverpool and he's going to be an important player for the up and coming months when we try and do end up winning this title.
Yeah, he was absolutely impeccable today. And the irony in that is people criticizing Zerbi. I sit there and think, yeah, and he lost him and Caicedo. And the likelihood of continuing to find players of that level is hard. And they've obviously brought in some excellent people. But again, if you literally put McAllister in the Brighton team today, it could have been a very different result. That's how influential he was today. I thought he was impeccable.
And Chelsea fans, obviously the last couple of streams that we've done, Chelsea fans been complaining about Caicedo and Enzo, them two not performing. Maybe there's a reason why. What's the common denominator between Caicedo and Enzo when they were playing well last season? Alexis McAllister. I'm just saying, McAllister was the reason why these guys were so good.
You need to put £150 million bid in for McAllister. Is that what they need to do?
Oh, that's what they should have done. That's what they should have done, Terry, instead of going for Caicedo Enzo. Just saying. Chelsea can hold that. Chelsea can definitely hold that.
Yeah, I hear you. Brandon, obviously, I know you've got a big game coming up soon. You're a rival. What are you here to say, bro?
Zerbi. I want to talk about Zerbi today. I hear what you're saying, Tel. I really do. But before I even go into that, right, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Tel, with your platform and that. I just want to say rest in peace to one of my best friends from school. I had a horrible phone call on Friday night to tell me that he unfortunately took his life. So, rest in peace to him. But yeah, Zerbi, I want to talk about Zerbi today, not as a whole, because I think you're right in what you're saying about, the Alan Kirbyshleys of this world, managers of old that just didn't want to, play football really. And I'm not necessarily criticising Zerbi because of that. But today, I felt like in the first 5 minutes or so, Liverpool got caught out a couple of times, even before the goal. And then all of a sudden, when Brighton scored the goal, they stopped playing that way. And I just think that's a little bit brain dead by the Brighton players and the manager personally, because, you invite pressure against the team that's arguably the best in the league at high press. I just think that's really, stupid. And it annoyed me a little bit today because, like I say, you were seeing, especially in that second half, Van Dijk pushing up into midfield, and there was nobody on the last man waiting for a long ball over the top. The continuous, playing out of the back, I understand that's the Zerbi style, but when you're up against the best pressing team in the league and you're 1-0 up, I just think that's a little bit brain dead to carry on playing that way. And, it's all about getting the points. Mate,
Mate, listen. I understand. I understand that logic. I think what I'm calling out when it comes to De Zerbi. By the way, very sorry to hear about your friend. Horrific news, and yeah, I wish all the condolences and best wishes to his family and everyone. It's horrible. When it comes to De Zerbi, I understand that criticism, but if we're being honest, I've seen Liverpool fans complain that Klopp has one way to play. I've seen fans of City say that Pep has one way to play. That is 2024. The vast majority of managers, the vast majority, I think you sort of get the old school ones like Ancelotti, and I think Simeone's a little bit more like this, where they've got a few different ways they can do it. But most managers around the world have a style of play, and as fans, most of us scream that we want to see patterns of play. What does patterns of play mean? It means repetition. It essentially, it's only a pattern if you can continue to see it, right? And we want this kind of we almost want this blanket approach at our clubs, but yet then we criticize it when the smaller clubs are also doing it, but it's not quite yielding the results that we want, or we see people getting like De Zerbi getting praised for how nice the football is and how the patterns of play work and how they progress through teams. But then they also criticize, well, but they concede too many goals and this doesn't quite work. I don't think it's plausible with a squad Brighton size, the money they have, to build a team with the quality of players where you can play De Zerbi's style, but also be really strong and hard to break down at the same time. I think that comes by adding better. I think there's better things he could do. But at the same time, it's you look at Arsenal and Arteta. As he's added more quality to his squad, his system's improved. I'm not saying he hasn't made tweaks and twerks, but at the same time, do you think you'd be this good if you took out Declan Rice and Saliba and put back into your side David Luiz and El Neni with the same system? And I think that's the issue. But I do get your criticism. At the same time, I think football fans have got to decide what they want a little bit more.
I think it's just based on today. Like the Zerbi, he's got to be on the sidelines. He's got to be thinking, right, we're 1-0 up. All the pressure is on Liverpool. Liverpool have to win this game. They're the one that's in the title race. So you kind of, I just think it's a bit brain dead of him to continue playing the same way, inviting pressure and that. When really and truly, I think if you was the manager of Brighton, okay, you haven't got the quality that Liverpool has, but bearing in mind that they're the ones that are under pressure. They're the ones that need to win the game.
Yeah.
I think he has to make the decision then to kind of change the way that he plays a little bit so that Brighton can potentially come out with the points. Whereas I just felt it was a bit stupid of him to continue playing out from the back and fighting the pressure. I don't understand personally.
Can I please disagree with Brandon a bit?
I completely disagree, Brandon, with this one. I'm not going to lie. Brandon, I think you're saying this because you wanted Brighton to get the point. You were not happy with it.
And yes. Sam, go on, continue. Yes, I agree.
I was going to say, because I've been De Zerbi's biggest critic. And my thing about De Zerbi is that the way he plays, if somebody clocks his tactics, he can't change it up or play another style to get around that. Now, today, he did something that frustrates Liverpool a lot, which is actually sit deeper and make it very difficult for us, which I have to credit him. This is the first time I've seen him do that against us, because usually, well, I can't really count last season because our midfielders weren't that great and they were running rings around us. But this season, we're a lot better. And what he's seen is that, do you know what? We get that first goal and then we sit back, make it frustrate them and stuff like that. Now, I do understand Salah had a lot of chances in that game and he missed a lot of chances in that game. But I'm not going to lie, De Zerbi's game plan actually worked.
It's not even so much Salah. Like, everybody's going to sit here and rightfully so talk about Alexis McAllister because he was excellent in that game. But if you go back and look at the goal, just look at the space that guy had. He had the freedom of Anfield to manipulate the ball in any way that he can. And it's little things like that. Like, if I realise that watching it on TV, then sure, manager like Zerbi
you know, I agree. I agree with you. I do agree that I would like to see a manager go, right, if we open up and go toe to toe with Liverpool, we're going to get hurt. But my point is that is what an Alan Pardew would have done. Alan Pardew, even Big Sam, they weren't negative and defensive against every team they played. When they all played each other, they attacked and they opened up. When they went away to a big team, they all sat behind their ball and they made it a stink fest, and we moaned about it. I think what managers are now doing, and this is just my theory on it, as I'm not saying it's a fact, is I think they look at it as, I want to showcase that I can play an attacking brand of football. Yes, you're going to see mistakes when I'm doing it at a team at this level, but imagine you give me the money to be at this point where I can put in better quality players. I think there's an element of that goes into their train of thought, because it isn't just Zerbi. It's the vast majority of modern day managers. They play a style of football, and they don't. It almost seems to not bother them how good or how. That's one of the reasons why we're angry at Ten Hag. We're like, you're not even trying to implement it, mate. It's weird. Like, he's doing exactly what you're asking. He's kind of chopping and changing every week, but we have no cohesion. So I do get it. At the same time, I just think that's where we are in football.
I think also when it comes, because I know exactly what Brandon's talking about, because I think he was talking about Adingra when he had a lot of space and a lot of time down that left-hand side. I think also you want to talk about is in the first half, I have to give credit to Quansah. Quansah wasn't closing him down, wasn't advancing to him. He was very much laying back, letting him run. But in the second half, when they did try to go use Adingra as an outlet, Quansah was just shutting him down every single time, and he just realized, look, I just need to attack this guy because he's just getting too much space and he's going to run past me if he even takes it past me. So I think that also has to play into account the fact that Quansah ended up changing his game and actually advanced and tackled him whenever he needed to.
I don't think it's so much that, Ram. What I'm talking about is McAllister controlled the entirety of that game for Liverpool. He was the danger man. Without McAllister today, you don't win that game. Because Salah don't get the chances that he got. Diaz's one was kind of, unlucky, like deflection from the Brighton player. But the chances that you generated all came from Alexis McAllister and the space that he had on the pitch. And I just think the Zerbi could have not necessarily changed the way that he plays, but put somebody on McAllister so he's not got the freedom of Anfield.
It's hard though, isn't it?
I agree. I'd like to see him do that, but at the same time, I understand I think he's just one of these managers that goes, right, I know my players pound for pound are not as good, but this is how we play. We're going to go in there and they go toe to toe, and it doesn't always work out. And I think that's where the criticism comes from. But I just feel it's what all managers are doing now. Because again, people in the football world rave about him. They absolutely rave about it. So I think it's the way football has kind of gone in that regard. Sam, how much more relaxed are you now going to be watching this game that kicks off in about 6 minutes' time?
Terry, I don't think you understand. I hate title races. I hate it so much. Every week, your nose. what's the term again? Biting your nose. That's it. I'm even forgetting words right now. But like, it came to like the 70th minute, and I was really just looking at the time, looking at the clock, just thinking to myself, "Are we gonna push through? Are we gonna push through?" And everything I was saying to the last 10 minutes, I was saying game management. Because if you think about it, the last game that we played, we lost, and we lost in a despicable fashion. And it's always that bounce back game. Like, what are you going to do the next game? Unfortunately, it was after a 2-week international break. And I thought that maybe that will play into our part why we might not win today. But thank God we got away with the win. Yes, on another day, it could have been 4-1 or 4-2 if both teams scored the chances that I could see that they should be scoring. But in the end, it's more of like, all right, next game is, I think it's against United, or am I right? It's against United. Next game, we're getting a lot of our players back from injury, which is good. I think
there's a midweek game as well, isn't there? There's midweek game.
Europa.
Europa League. That's it. Yeah, Europa League.
No, I suppose it's Premier League midweek.
There is Premier League midweek. We've got Luton midweek, so you must have a game midweek.
Yeah, Liverpool,
Sheffield
United.
Yeah, you got Sheffield United on Thursday. Yeah.
My bad, I forgot about that. But yeah,
that's 3 points. That's 3 points, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying that. Take every game as a fan.
I mean, if you watch them against Fulham, I'm just saying that you got the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So you don't.
I hear you. See, I just want to jump to Sia quickly because obviously everyone's going to want to go and watch this game in a minute. But what did you make your team today?
I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. But I just want to first touch on the Zerbi argument, because I get the criticism that is leveled at Zerbi, but I really don't think all of it is fair because his style of play worked for Brighton when he had better players. You can't go from dominating midfields with Caicedo and McAllister, and then you have Baleba and Gross. It's not the same. And I do feel that maybe he should try to switch it up, but not many managers do. Arteta used to get a lot of criticism when he tried to play out the back with Holding and Chambers. So the De Zerbi criticism is a bit over the top for me. It's not that I want him at Liverpool. I don't want him anywhere near Liverpool yet. If he does go to a higher club and does well, then maybe you can get him in there because his style is very good. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say on De Zerbi. And then on Liverpool, Mo Salah was really wasteful today, firstly. And we can't keep conceding these sucker punches early on in games. I know we always come from behind and win, but we can't rely on that in a title race this tight. It's just not. I'm not going to use the word sustainable, but it's not smart. Let me use the word smart.
You could be right in terms of just being that one thing that just tips it somebody else's way. Jay here says Brighton didn't sit back really. They played denial football, blocking off the space. They didn't want to press and leave space for Nunes in behind. Look, listen, I get the criticism De Zerbi gets. I think some of it's a little bit. It's weird. He went from being. I think it's because so many people. Do you know what? In life, you get this. You must see it in other things that you're all interested in, whether it's, I don't know, comic books, whether it's certain types of music, actors. When something starts getting hyped, there's always a group of people that, for no apparent reason, just come in to shit on it. And I think that's what De Zerbi's getting because he got a lot of hype. You get people go, right, I've got to find a reason to rip this down. Why do you want to rip it down?
Terry,
Because
it's
just because.
Yeah, I admit it's because when some people wanted Klopp out last year, I had a personal vendetta against De Zerbi because when people were complaining about Klopp not changing it up, and I was looking at De Zerbi and him not changing it up in certain games, I was like, so what? What are you complaining about?
Yeah.
One guy to go
agree.
because of one thing, but you want to say that don't make no sense.
No, totally agree. Boys, I know everyone's just because the game's about to start. I'm really sorry to say we'll touch a bit more on Liverpool later.